Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday.
Hey guys.
Hi, Jeff. Hi, Karen.
Arlinda, oh my
Hey,
gosh, it's so great
Arlinda.
to see you.
Hi, Cindy.
I
Hi,
love it.
Jilan. Hi, April.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. How is everyone's Wednesday week going so far?
So far so good. Did you guys get my itinerary for the neuroscience conference?
Yes, we're very excited for
Thank you, Jeff.
No problem.
Jeff's, for everybody who hasn't met Jeff yet, he's from Massachusetts. He's in Massachusetts right now. And for our Global Neuroscience Conference this November, Jeff is going to be flying out to San Diego to help us out. So we're so excited to have him. And I also just got off the phone, exciting news, with Mark Pulver, who is one of our Living Autistically panelists last year. You can watch him on our panel on UCTV, but he just confirmed that he's going to be driving down from Los Angeles to come attend our conference too. So you can see him in person, Jeff.
It'll be good to see him again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and get started. Thanks to everyone for joining us. It is a beautiful day to do a Lunch and Learn. This is our 91st Lunch and Learn. A quick review, couple Zoom rules for those of you who might be new or haven't joined in a while. Please mute yourself when you're not speaking. We recommend speaker view for presentation. Video sharing is optional, though we love to see all your beautiful faces. And please type all questions and comments into the chat. If you have any questions, we will have a Q&A at the end with our guest speaker where you can feel free to type your questions in the chat and I can read them for you, or you can unmute yourself and ask our guest speaker directly what your question is. But we love to see everybody's comments. A quick update from Autism Tree. Over 705,000 people have been reached across all of our social media channels. We have 90 Lunch and Learns uploaded on YouTube. Our Lunch and Learns we started right before the schools closed and the pandemic hit San Diego. We started these Lunch and Learns and we've been doing it almost every week since. So there's a wealth of resources on our YouTube channel that you can check out. A different guest speaker every single week. Since January of this year, we've already coordinated 132 events for our families out in the community and also online. So we reached different states and across all over the world, which has been wonderful. We have 55 events coming up between now and the end of December, though we always add events, so constantly check back on our calendars, our website calendar, our Facebook calendar to see what's coming up and what you can get involved in. All of our events are free to register for. All you have to do is RSVP online or contact our team. We offer 19 programs virtually and 12 are currently in person. I'm really excited. We're bringing back our food farming and nutrition program starting this Saturday. And then we're going to launch it again in the spring and do a 6-week workshop, but we'll do a welcome back to the farm workshop this Saturday. And if you're interested, feel free to let me know for the spring workshops as well. We now have 467 videos on our YouTube channel. Subscribe if you haven't. We highly recommend. We constantly post every single week. We have, if you believe it, 400 of those videos have been shared since March from our community of parents and wealth of resources and our families and volunteers who have submitted those videos for us. So it's a great way to stay connected. A special thank you to our Lunch and Learn sponsor, CalAble. We've done 4 CalAble Lunch and Learns. If you want to learn more about CalAble, it's a savings and investment state program that helps you save money. If you have a disability that occurred before the age of 26, you're eligible to open a CalAble account. Our last Lunch and Learn that we had with them, they went over specifically eligibility. So if you have any questions about that, I highly recommend you check it out, or you can go to their website, which is here at calable.ca.gov. And so I will now pass it off to our executive director, Dana, who will introduce Erin Schneider.
Thank you, Rebecca. It's so nice to be here with everyone. And for some reason, Rebecca, you're up on the main screen. I don't know if you can make it different for me or not. Thank you.
There you go.
I just want you to know that sometimes, I'll be extra human on lunch and learns. So I feel like I'll be kind of regretful if I don't do that. I don't know how everyone's feeling, and I used to always really encourage people to type in how you're feeling. So I'm welcoming that. I really am. I'm letting you know that I definitely feel really depleted from COVID, and just from so much loss. Our family actually lost my sister-in-law yesterday. And I think that, on top of during this time, I lost my older brother. My brother, Don, my other brother, lost his wife. I lost my mother-in-law, who was the matriarch of our family. And I lost two dear friends. One was an autism mom warrior. Both moms had twins. So it's sort of just like, it's hard sometimes to breathe and realize how human we are, and I'm just accepting it. I'm just accepting that I'm a person that takes quite a while to process when someone's gone, no matter what. I just do. And I feel really grateful in that, I love that Autism Tree is meant to be a safe space for everyone to really be who they are. So I'm just taking this moment to let you know that I love the Lunch and Learns for that for myself. And I'm really proud of Autism Tree because we've been working really hard on getting back to center. And, having one family at a time, it's now on all of our shirts, along with our 4 pillars, which I wanted to share with you because I just mean a lot. They mean a lot to me. They mean a lot to everybody. But I'm filtering everything I do right now when I have a moment where I'm like, should I do this or this? I go back to the work that we did on our 4 pillars, which is embrace, connect, empower, and create. And we have, a little bit deeper on our website and on our cards. What does that mean? But it's really easy for me to make decisions during the day when I just think about that. And it always comes back to, in the 2 decisions, which one's going to support one of our actual kids, one of our actual families. And then it's like, that's what we're going to do. And I think the thing that sometimes we have to really do as individuals, myself included, is to breathe and go, what am I going to do that supports me as a human being? That makes sure that I celebrate my life, my own life. I've been so caught up for 20 years in celebrating Autism Tree and each person in my son's life. I'm really sharing this with you that I feel as my own self, that we have to each individually celebrate ourself, our life, what we enjoy. And sometimes I know I forget to do that. So I'm putting that out there that I'm working on it. And I started hiking with my husband in Las Vegas now that I'm living here. And I love it. I'm not going to the Las Vegas Strip, which is all I ever did when I went to Las Vegas. I'm trying to be really healthy and make really good choices that are going to make my cells breathe and live. And just when I think about the people that I lost, I'm trying to not cry any more tears. I'm trying to just be blessed and think of something positive about that person that I'm happy for, about what they contributed to, and so it's a shift. And I think we're all having to do that from these last 2.5 years. And I was mentioning on the pre-call to Erin that I'm so grateful she's here, because what makes the Lunch and Learn so extraordinary to me is we never know what the speaker is going to talk about. We have met Erin before. We spend our time knowing that we want this person on, but we don't know what Erin's going to talk about today. And that's, you guys know, it's like that. And that's what's kind of everything, is having that trust in the person, knowing that they have something to share that we value and that we all keep growing from it. And I just love that. I know Erin is here for a reason. I know I'm going to grow from it. I know you're going to grow from it. I felt so happy when she said she's going to include her son with autism, Henry, so we can all get to know a little bit about Henry and her life, because that's the essence of Autism Tree, is these are real families and people that are really involved with the Autism Tree that don't have a family member with autism. They somehow have a heartbeat with us for what we do. So I just want you to know, I feel extra grateful. I don't even have words just to say, I'm grateful that I feel safe here with you, that I sometimes can just be extra real. And I just want you to know everyone has that opportunity and an ability to do that here at the Lunch and Learns. I feel like we've come so far. I mean, this is our 91st Lunch and Learn. And I can tell you without any hesitation, we love every single one and we're using them all the time in ways we can't even imagine as resources. And I just hope that you feel that that you are a very big part of this foundation, and that if you don't always feel that way, the opportunity is always here for you to share with me and Rebecca if there's something you want to do, if there's something you feel is important. We actually really do care, and it helps us continue to move forward, the foundation forward, and grow and create new opportunities. So with that, I just want to say thank you to everybody, and that I know Erin's going to be a blessing today. I always enjoy the pre-call, and thank you for that time earlier. And I look forward to seeing these photos of your little boy today. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you, Dana. That was lovely. And I appreciate your vulnerability. I know it's hard sometimes to get emotional in front of a bunch of people, but thank you, because it's real. What you're feeling is very real. And I'm so sorry for your losses. But thank you for sharing. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And I just want to say, I'm so honored to be here today. So thank you to all of you for letting me be part of this. Can everybody see my screen okay?
Yes, looks great.
Excellent. Good. So I am very, very passionate about self-care. As a mom to a 6-year-old, I have 2 kids. I have an 8-year-old, Amelia, and my son, Henry, is 6 years old, and he is my little guy with autism. And I truly believe that self-care is vital to us parents. And we so often forget about ourselves because we're just trained to give, and give. And at some point, your body's going to say, you can't give anymore. And so it's really important to incorporate daily habits that can help us and to ensure that we can continue giving. So I'm going to talk today about self-care. All right. So start with a couple of questions, little factoids. Did you all know that according to a 2021 study cited by the CDC, 1 in 14 children has a parent or caregiver with poor mental health? And also a 2021 US study found that about 9.4% of children had developmental disability. And parents of children with developmental disability were more likely to develop mental health problems than other parents. And the odds of developing anxiety or depression were higher when an adult child with developmental disability lived independently. The odds were nearly 3 times higher for mothers and more than twice as large for fathers when compared to mothers and fathers whose children did not have developmental disability and challenging behaviors. And the report concluded that parents of children with developmental disability may benefit from increased emotional support, respite, and interventions addressing challenging behaviors. So we all know this, right? I mean, anybody with a child with autism is like, duh, we absolutely, but how do we do that? How do we incorporate that into our daily lives? How do we get that support? So I love this, this quote by Eleanor Brown. It says, rest and self-care are so important. When you take time to replenish your spirit, it allows you to serve others from the overflow. You cannot serve from an empty vessel. And honestly, I cannot agree with that enough. You'll hear me often respond to or refer to the bucket. Is our bucket full? Is it empty? Because we can't help others if our bucket is empty. We have to be full. So whatever vessel you want it to come from, we have to have a full vessel in order to help others. And then here's another quote that I love from the amazing Lucille Ball. It says, love yourself first, and everything else falls in line. You really have to love yourself to get anything done in this world. And man, oh man, I am learning that big time, especially in the past few months. I've just really been needing that. Loving myself is so important. So I'm hoping today you'll leave with an appreciation for the importance of good mental health and care, not just for our kids, but for ourselves. You'll leave with some suggestions for ways to help nourish your own spirit and well-being. I'll give you some examples of different kinds of effective self-care and some resources for seeking that help. So this is me. I am the founder and CEO of Mountain Summit Consulting and Parent Coaching. I started this business because of my journey with my son's autism. When we were given the diagnosis, we were pretty much just sent on our way and see you later. And I truly believe that no parent should have to walk this journey alone. That's why I'm so thankful for Autism Tree. I think what they're doing is amazing, and to have that support is so invaluable. You just can't. It's so valuable. You can't say enough good things about them. So I truly believe that every parent should have a support system. Every parent should have somebody who can offer them that guidance. And it's a journey that we definitely don't need to walk alone. I believe that raising children takes a village. And especially when you have an autistic child, I believe that village needs to grow and be refined. So this is my family. That's Henry right there. And I'm very proud of this family. We have learned a lot in a very short period of time. So when my son Henry was born, we kind of knew right away that there was something different. He was very hard to settle. It just felt like everything we did, it was very difficult. He just didn't seem to react the same way that his sister did. And so over the years, we pretty much lived in the doctor's office. That was pretty much our life. We went from one doctor to another, not getting any answers. I can tell you more often than not, what we heard from doctors was like, never saw that before, which is exactly what every parent wants to hear when they take their child to the doctor. So we definitely struggled with that. But I'm so thankful for the journey that we've gone on, and for the lessons that we've learned. And I'm so thankful to Henry for just the amazing little guy that he is and all that he's taught us. And it's really, we were a tight family before, but we've really learned to be super tight now. So that's my amazing family. So let's talk about self-care. Why? That's the big question. Why self-care? So it can be very easy to start down a slippery slope when we aren't putting enough attention on our own needs. When we become parents, the natural inclination is to focus much of our energy on our children. I mean, that's what makes a good parent, right? Is just to give and give and give, and be that parent that can never stop. I mean, we always hear about like super moms and power dads. I don't believe that that's something we should be striving for, but that's kind of what the pressure that society puts on us. So as the old saying goes, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and often children can become so demanding of our attention, we lose sight of ourselves. And that's very common when I'm working with my autistic families. That's what I hear a lot. They're like, my child is demanding my attention. How am I going to take any time for myself? And that was definitely our case too. My son's meltdowns would last hours upon hours. And when am I going to fit in time for myself when I need to comfort my child and make sure that he's safe and doing okay? And as I mentioned, society tends to reinforce ideas that being selfless and not caring for our own needs and thinking only of our children is what constitute good parenting. But in reality, focusing only on the needs of others and ignoring our own has detrimental effects on our own physical and emotional health. And I can tell you, as a parent that went down this path, it also has detrimental effects on our family as well. So even though the intention is, well, I'll just keep giving, that's going to help everybody, it honestly does a lot more damage than good. So not only does neglecting our own needs cause us harm, it has a negative impact on all of those around us. So if we're exhausted and struggling, we can't be our best for ourselves or for our families. If I don't have a good night's rest, or if I am just exhausted and burnt out, I'm going to be much more likely to snap at my family. I'm not going to have the patience that's so important. And I'm not going to be able to parent in the way that I want to parent, which is full of love and understanding and patience. So it is possible to care for both of ourselves and our children. I know it doesn't always seem that way, but it absolutely is. And in fact, if we care for ourselves, we can be at our best for others too. So why should we practice self-care? Well, engaging in a self-care routine has been clinically proven to reduce or eliminate anxiety and depression, reduce stress, improve concentration, minimize frustration and anger, and increase happiness, improve energy, and more. I don't know about you, but that all sounds pretty good to me. I absolutely think that sounds great. So super important that we practice that. So I'm sure you've all heard this. It's an old cliche, but very relevant. Every flight attendant says this at every single flight, and you have to put your mask on before helping someone else put theirs on. Anytime you're sitting next to a little kid, the flight attendant walks down and repeats that, even though they've said it over the intercom to everybody, they walk past you and say, make sure that you put your mask on first. So it's super important, because guess what? If you put your mask on, the little ones, and you don't get the air for yourself, what's going to happen? You're not going to be around to support them. So the idea is very simple. If you can't help anyone or you're incapacitated, the stress of juggling everything involved with being the parent of a child can be incapacitating. So the only solution is to take active steps to help yourself. So we talked about the why. So let's talk about the how. And this is usually where most parents are like, I get the why, I get it, but tell me the how. That's what I really need to hear. So these are just a few tips, these are just a few ideas on how I can practice self-care. So parents raising kids with disabilities while working and trying to maintain a marriage and look after their other children can conjure endless reasons why self-care is impossible. I was one of those. I could definitely come up with 8 billion reasons as to why there was no time for self-care. And I actually got to the point when a doctor or somebody would say, hey, what are you doing for self-care? It would make me angry, because I was so exhausted and overwhelmed that I was just like, how dare you? Who do you think I am? When am I going to have this time to incorporate this lovely self-care that you keep talking about? It really would get me upset. And when I'm working with families, that's usually where they're at. They get offended by the question because they don't know how in the world they're going to incorporate this into their lives. So does any of these sound familiar? There just isn't time. When there is time, it's better spent doing something else. I have laundry to do. I have to clean the house. I have errands to run. I got to do all these other things that we make as more of a priority than our own individual care. I'm too tired and too stretched thin as it is. When I do get time at night to relax, I want to be on my phone looking at social media or zoning out to some TV time for a few hours. And then all of a sudden you realize oh gosh, it's already 2 o'clock in the morning. I need to get that much needed sleep, but I needed that time to zone out and not think about anything. And others need help more than I do. I hear that all so often. How many times do moms and dads say, no, I got to help these other people first. They need it more than I do. I got to make sure my kiddo's doing okay before I can take any of this time for myself. My husband needs help. My wife needs help. My aging parents need my support. Those are all the excuses that we make for ourselves. So when I'm working with clients, I always say, let's take baby steps. Okay, this is the number one thing. We are not going to go from here to here overnight. We need to just take those slow little baby steps, because guess what? If we try to go from here to here, we're going to end up failing because we haven't created a routine of this. And then eventually our bodies are going to be like, nope, I don't have time for all that. And you're going to end up failing, which is then going to make you feel like a failure and then not want to try those tools again. So self-care is a practice. It's not a skill. We always have to be practicing. And I fall in and out of self-care all the time. This is not something that I'm an expert on by any means, but I'm able to do the bare minimum to keep me. On some days, it's just the bare minimum. Other days I have more time for it, but I at least know my body and know like, oh, I need to really give myself more attention. So that means no one really ever gets it right. It's about the effort and trying each day to get better at it. And any kind of habit feels overwhelming at first. It requires a change in routine, which is really uncomfortable. And as a matter of biology, we aren't really wired for that. So it helps to start small. And maybe it's just a few minutes each day, but that gives you something to build on. And I often hear from families and the parents that I work with, they're like, I feel like a failure if I don't do it every single day. And that is not the goal. We're not trying to set you up for failure. We're trying to set you up for success. And again, starting in those little tiny bits is really what's needed. So I like to refer back to the 8 dimensions of wellness. And when focusing on how to build your self-care plan, it may help to consider these dimensions of wellness laid out in the Southern New Hampshire University article that I mentioned previously. These dimensions conceptualize the domains of wellness that make all of us whole. So those 8 dimensions are emotional, environmental, financial, intellectual, occupational, physical, social, and the last one, spiritual. And we're going to go over all of these. So each person's plan is going to look very different. What works for you might not work for me, and vice versa. And that's okay. There's no right or wrong way of doing this. It's what works for you. And that's what we're trying to do, is like, what can you do on a daily basis that doesn't feel overwhelming? So when working on self-care, we're going to consider each of these domains. So emotional. So talk to someone, reflect, journal, read, do something artistic, listen to music, work out, move that body of yours, watch something that suits the mood. Sometimes we just need to cry it out. Sometimes I just need a really good, if I'm feeling really sad, but I can't cry, I sometimes put on a really sad movie and that will just get the tears going, because that's what I need in that moment. Sometimes that physical affection, hug someone, cuddle, laugh. Sometimes we just need a really good laugh. You know, I know when I'm just kind of in it and I'm just going through every single day, I'm kind of going through the motions, I forget about laughter and how important it is. So really necessary. And then when you can, super important, take a nap. I know as a parent, that's like a bad word, right? Like nap. Oh gosh, when do I have time for that? But so important. Environmental. Take a walk somewhere nice. If you can, get outside. Even I have parents that are like, when am I going to get outside to take a walk? Like, just go outside, take your shoes off and be grounded in the grass. Or the dirt or whatever it is. Get that grounding. It's so important. Vitamin D, get that sunlight. Again, super, super important. Doctors say you should get outside within the first 20 minutes of waking up. I honestly think the first hour of waking up is doable, because as parents, we're getting up and we're getting our kids ready for school, and it doesn't always work out. So even if you can do it within the first hour, I think that's huge. Enjoy the night sky. If you have someplace where you can go look at the stars, enjoy that. Enjoy the sunset, whatever it is. Pick up litter along the street, reduce waste, whatever it is that you want to do in that moment. Environmental is so helpful. Financial. This is a big one for a lot of families. Try to come up with a financial plan, learn how to budget, download an app and start budgeting. Oftentimes we're so worried about money, but if we take control of it, that right there makes us feel better. Start saving, even if it's $1 a day, whatever it is, it's going to add up. Invest or ask for a raise. Intellectual. Read. If you don't have time to sit and read, listen to an audiobook. I know when I'm at my busiest, I'm driving kids around to school or I'm waiting in pickup lines, I don't have time to sit there and read a book, but listening to an audiobook is a great version. Watch documentaries, complete puzzles, be mindful, become curious, try something new, become creative or artistic, take a class. Those are all things we can do to expand the mind. And then occupational, learn a trade. If you've been wanting to go back to school, get your degree. It's okay. Train for promotion, accept the promotion, put together your resume, polish up your resume, apply for your dream job, and take on a task that you enjoy. Or like me, open your own business. Physical. So it's really good to move the body. I try not to tell my clients to work out. I try to tell them to move the body. Even if it's putting on some fun music and dancing, that's a great way to move your body. Take a walk, eat healthy, get your annual checkup. And when I say eat healthy, that doesn't mean like, oh, you just have to eat salads all the time, but incorporate a vegetable a couple times a day. Try to get those proteins in, things of that sort. Take your medications. That's a big one. A lot of us forget to do that. We're so busy and we forget to take our meds. Definitely important. When you can, avoid drugs and alcohol. Get those 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So hard as a parent, but so vital. And then see the physician when you do not feel well. Men, this is a particular one for you. Make sure you're going to the doctor. Otherwise, your wives or your partners are going to be pushing you to the doctor when you don't feel good. Social is a really big one that we tend to forget, and that's to meet up with your friends and family. Keep in contact with those old friends that you rarely see. Have fun, go out, have a date night when you can. Utilize technology when distance is a factor. So obviously during COVID, a lot of us couldn't get together. So that thank goodness for Zoom, right? And then again, have that big laugh. And then the last one is spiritual. This is a really big one that some of us say, like, well, I'm not religious. Well, spiritual doesn't have to mean religious. It just means something that you do you reflect, something that you can engage on. So meditate, pray if that's what you do, reflect, engage in yoga, visit a meaningful site. Be mindful, consider your higher purpose and meaning, and look to your higher power for support. Love one another and help those in need. All good things that will lead to the spiritual. So self-care is personal, right? The word self is right there in the name. So as I mentioned before, what might work for one person doesn't necessarily work for another, because everybody's different, and what's helpful for one may not be helpful for anybody else. So the goal is to find things that help you relax, re-energize, and have space to be yourself. Super important. So for some, this could look like, a spa day. It could look like a girls' trip, a weekend away, whatever it may be. For others, it could just be, as I mentioned, getting out there barefoot in some grass and grounding. It could be getting that vitamin D, maybe a nap, again, if we're lucky enough for that. For others, it might be meditation, practicing mindfulness, journaling, or that physical activity. There's no right or wrong way. So find what works for you and then try to do it. I'm a big believer in putting it in your calendar. That's one thing I recommend to all my clients, is just put it in your calendar. Then it's in there, it's scheduled, you have the time for it. And you're more likely to do it that way if it's scheduled. So it's really important to take you as a priority. I mean, if you look at my calendar, my day is just packed full. I've got everything in there, but you'll always notice at lunchtime, I go for a walk. It's in my calendar. It's what I do. And that's something that I need. I need to get outdoors. I need to have that moment to just, my mind can think. Sometimes I'm listening to an audiobook. Sometimes I'm just walking with no distractions. Whatever it is that you need, it's okay. So I know I've given you some ideas, but we're going to go into some more ideas. So again, there's no right or wrong way, and you don't have to go all in. So for example, when I talk to families, I'm like, maybe you want to meditate, thinking internally, moving internally is so important. Everybody's like, oh, I don't have time to meditate. Well, how long are you meditating for? Oh, well, they say you have to meditate for like 60 minutes a day. Whoa. No, not at all. Start small. When I started meditating, and again, meditation is something I kind of go in and out of. It's not something I do consistently every day, but when I need it, I know it's there. I started with a minute meditation, something very, very short, just to get me into the moment, to get me breathing and getting me looking internally. That's what I needed at that time. So it does not have to be a huge, long investment of time. Time in nature. Getting outside, again, even if it's just literally walking out, putting your feet on the grass and walking back inside, that's okay. If that's what you can start with, great. Time alone as parents. How often do we get that time alone? Not very often. So sometimes it might be literally getting your kids busy with something and taking that time for yourself in those minutes. If you have support, maybe you hire somebody and you just go out for yourself. Start with 20 minutes if that's all you have time for. Have some friend come over, watch your child for 20 minutes, and you go just have time for you. Doesn't matter what you're doing, just have that time for you. Time with others is really important. I know it's important to have that support system, and having time with those friends, with our spouse, with our partner, whoever it may be, get that time to laugh and not have to think about everything we've got going on. Physical activity, again, does not have to be super long investment. You do not have to be doing an hour a day. Sometimes 15 minutes of physical activity is all you need. Walking is a perfectly good example of physical activity. You don't have to be a runner. You don't have to be a weightlifter. You don't have to do any of that stuff if that's not what you enjoy. Just getting outside and going for a walk is perfect. Arts and music, that's a huge one. I was so excited when COVID let up and I could actually go to an in-person concert again. My husband and I went this summer to Red Rocks, and it was one of the best experiences. It was so good to be around live music and around people and enjoying that. So whatever makes you feel good. Journaling is a great tool. Sometimes we're so, as parents, we get so stuck in our head that we forget to get it out. And then those feelings or those thoughts just keep going on and on and on in our head. But journaling can get that out, and then that can relieve some of that anxiety that we tend to feel as parents. And then pampering. It doesn't have to be an hour-long massage. I mean, it could seriously sometimes just be doing your nails or, relaxing for a 20-minute nap. Whatever you find pampering is perfectly fine. It doesn't have to be expensive or long. So with meditation and mindfulness, as I mentioned, a quick 5-minute meditation can be all you need to get rejuvenated. Again, I tell my clients start with 1 minute. That's really all you need. There's a lot of apps and websites out there, audio files, anything like that. If you're struggling, there's lots of ways to incorporate meditation. Breathing is also a great form of meditation. It just gets your mind on you and not on everything else. And if you get distracted easily, that's okay. Just go back to the breath, and that will find you, and that will center you and get you back onto yourself. I have also started to get my kids involved in meditation. And I know for my son, Henry, that's been really beneficial when he's having those moments, just going back to that breath and remembering like, okay, I'm having a hard time. Let's go to the breath. It can be really good. My daughter is really enjoying it too. Before bedtime, she likes to have a meditation, a kids app before bed. Some people will even find just taking a few extra minutes before kids wake up to enjoy some coffee. That can be a nice option for you for mindfulness. It doesn't have to be meditation. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate, just something that you can do for yourself. If you feel like you're always rushing, there's a good chance you don't ever really get to savor anything. So find a time that you can commit to savoring something and make it a daily habit. Again, that first cup of coffee, who doesn't enjoy that first cup of coffee or tea in the morning? It's so good. And if you can enjoy it hot, even more amazing. Time in nature, as I mentioned before, super important to have that. Nature grounds us. Nature brings us back to what's important. So getting some green space is vital. If you're living in the city, or if you're constantly indoors, it doesn't have to be anything much. It can just be a quick walk around the park. It doesn't have to be going out into the mountains, going for a hike. Although I'm here in Colorado, and that's something we try to do as often as possible, is get into those mountains and get that greenery and that feeling of nature all around us. And again, time alone, even if it's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is that you can take, start with that. You can always try to gradually increase that time, but it's really important for you. So whether that means waiting until your child takes a nap, switching off with your spouse. So maybe your spouse has some time alone, and then you switch and they're watching the kids, and then you get some time alone. Whatever it is, take that time when needed. And don't feel like you have to do anything elaborate with your time alone. Maybe there's something big and fun you want to do, and that's great, but don't put pressure on yourself. It's okay to just sit quietly, or heaven forbid, take a nap. The point is to give yourself some time, some space to recharge. As I mentioned, time with others is so important. Maintaining your social connections is an integral part of self-care. So with busy schedules, it can be difficult, but so important to get that. So when you finish, this is something I like to do. When I finish a social activity, I like to schedule the next one, because again, putting it in the calendar makes it real and makes it more likely that you're going to do it. So schedule it out, even if it's a month in advance. If that's what you need to do, that's fine, but get it in that calendar. You're more likely to do it. Physical activity. It can just be as good for your mind as it is for your body. So obviously we want to be physically active and stay healthy, but it really is good for the mind. All that oxygen rushing to the brain is super healthy for us. If you don't have time to hit the gym, that's okay. Even a brisk walk can be an excellent self-care strategy. And whether you're pushing a stroller or you're walking by yourself, get your body moving 20 minutes if you can. But again, start with 5 if that's all you can do. It doesn't matter. I like to get my dogs out for a walk. So that's kind of part of my daily routine. I have to walk them. So it's like, again, something I have to do during the day. And this does not mean you have to have some amazing workout and get down on yourself if you don't. Again, we're not trying to make you feel bad about anything. This is just movement of any sort. Yoga, like I said, have a dance party. Sometimes I'll let my kids be the DJ. I'll give them my phone and then they'll go through all the different music and then we'll have a dance party right there. And it's a super fun way to do it. As I mentioned, arts, music, and literature, it can all be fun. Go to the ballet if that's something you enjoy. Go watch a musical, go see a concert, even just turning on the music really loud and just sitting there in that moment and enjoying it, soaking it up. Whatever it is that you need to do, arts and literature and music can really bring up a lot of emotions for us and be a really great way to take care of yourself. And as I mentioned, journaling gets all that stuff out onto the paper and out of your head where it wants to live and take up space. But offering a gratitude journal is really nice. People sleep longer and experience higher quality sleep. So what I try to do every single day, I start my morning with journaling, is I write 3 things that I'm grateful for every single day. And there's some days where it's like, I don't feel very grateful about something, but I still put it out there. Even it's just like, I have a roof over my head, my family is healthy, and I made it through the day. That doesn't matter. Whatever it is to you, gratitude journals can be really beneficial. Even if you don't have time to do anything else, start with that. 3 things that you're grateful for. Simply reminding yourself of the things you have to be grateful for can help you feel good about life. And journaling is good for many reasons, but there's so many different types of journals. It doesn't have to be a formal gratitude journal. You can write down a stream of consciousness, a recollection of your day. Some people like to do a dream journal. Just pour out your frustrations and worries onto a page for 10 minutes. It just helps get it off of your mind and into the world. A humor journal, that's something else I just recently heard about. The idea is to make a habit of writing down 3 funny things that happen to you or around you every day. With kids, that's pretty easy to do. They usually do something pretty funny. But that's just, again, it's just getting that gratitude and making you feel good. That's what the idea of it is. And then, as I mentioned before, pampering. It doesn't have to be a spa day. It doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Maybe it's having a nice date night with your spouse, a weekend away if you can do that. But no matter what, you deserve good things. And sometimes we can lose sight of that. And a little pampering can help serve as a reminder. So some other ideas that I didn't mention before is nutrition. Make sure you're caring for your physical health and nourishing your body with good, clean foods. I am not a person who likes to judge or make people feel guilty for what they eat. So if you are struggling with eating a little healthier, that's okay. Incorporate a vegetable into every meal. That's one way you can do that. It doesn't have to be bad. And the main thing is try to get rid of the guilt around food. You should enjoy your food. So if you want to indulge in that pizza, enjoy yourself, enjoy that moment. Super important. A healthy body and a healthy mind go together. So don't have so much guilt around what you're eating. And then unplug, take a break from social media and electronics. This is something we're always teaching our kids about, but something we also need to be doing. And remember, kids watch us. So if we're constantly on our phone and we're telling them like, get off your phone. Well, you guys do it all the time. Why can't I be on it? And it's really important. I notice myself when I'm feeling really upset about things, I'm like, oh, I've been on social media a little bit too much. So I need to put that away. And I usually do feel better, more recharged. So being unplugged is a really good way to help with that stress. Try to find a hobby or activity that you enjoy doing. It can be anything. I've had people talk about rock climbing. That's a really good, fun activity. Again, you're building that physical activity. You're doing something different. Go take up painting if that's something you want to do. Join a book club. Anything that you want to do with gets you creating your own space and fostering your identity is super important. And then when needed, seek help. We've talked a lot about great things to help us help ourselves. but also consider working with a professional to maintain your mental health. Whether it's an individual or family therapist, everyone, and I mean everyone, can benefit from mental health care. Super important. And if you ever need support on how to find a good mental health care professional, don't be afraid to reach out to me. I'm more than happy to help you out. So in summary, being the parent of a child with a disability is hard. No matter how strong we are, it can be overwhelming and stressful. Parents of children with disabilities are more likely to suffer from mental health issues like anxiety and depression. So it's important to care for ourselves and seek help when needed. Self-care can help recharge our batteries and allow us to be our best selves, which is good for us and also good for those we care for. And we can't help them unless we help ourselves. Again, go back to that bucket. We have to have a full bucket in order to help others. And self-care means something different for everyone, but some examples of techniques include meditation, mindfulness, time in nature, time alone, time with others, physical activity, arts, music, and literature, journaling, and pampering. So are there any self-care activities or ideas that you've tried or work well for you? I'd love to kind of, open this up and see what you guys have to say.
Awesome. Anyone, you can feel free to unmute yourself. Right now, I'll also pay attention to the chat. Jeff Schneider, he put in the chat, another helpful activity is watching classic movies or listening to calming music. His hobby is also known as fan fiction writing.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, very nice. I completely agree. Classical music, classical movies, all those black and white movies, there's just something very calming about them, right? So absolutely. I love that suggestion.
Yes, and one particular kind of movies that I've been collecting lately is classic MGM movies, Metro Goldwyn Mayer movies, because there's more than just the Wizard of Oz, Gone with the Wind, that sort of thing. So I do a lot of that, and I also and another thing I always do is I always watch classic like sitcoms, like the three classic comedies like the Three Stooges, and I was even watching Sanford and Son a little bit yesterday as well. So I mean, it's there's plenty of ways for families to to kind of embrace the idea of self-care, but we still have a long way to go with that. So I mean, it's going to take time, and we need to let families know that they're not alone. We're here to help them.
I couldn't agree more. Absolutely. It does take time. And I think there's a lot of guilt associated with around self-care. It's like, oh, I shouldn't do this because I'm taking time away from my family, or this is being selfish. I hear that a lot from my parents. Like, aren't I being selfish for that? No, you're not. Selfish is a good thing. We're as parents, we're just taught to give, give, and give and give. And then anything for ourselves is a bad thing. And that's so not true. It isn't. So you're right. We have a long way to go. But that's something I early on when I'm working with my parent coaching clients, that's something we're talking about. What are you doing for you? And every week I remind them, okay, what are we doing for you? Let's figure that out. So I couldn't agree more. Jeff, thanks for sharing.
This is Arlinda. I felt the same thing, and I finally just bit the bullet. I started a sewing class on Monday nights. It's 3 hours, and I thought, how can I stay 3 hours away from my child? And I said, you know what, I deserve it. And I've been wanting to learn a new hobby, and not only am I learning a new hobby, I meeting new friends and with women, and it's camaraderie. So it's almost like, more than one bullet point that I'm hitting. So,
good for you. First of all, I just want to say I'm so proud of you for doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge. And the fact that you were like, this feels really weird, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm so proud of you. Good job.
No, when I saw, what really helped me is when I saw this PowerPoint presentation or the invite, and I thought, you know what, this is a sign. I need to do it, and I did it. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you.
That makes me feel so good. Honestly, thank you for saying that and sharing that.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad that was a reminder to go out there and do something for yourself. So good job.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cindy, I know you had something to share too.
Yeah, Erin, thank you so much. I just wanted to say your self-care presentation reminded me of an 8-week course I took through Yale University called The Science of Well-Being. And I'm telling you, you touched upon many of the points, including detaching sometimes from social media, which is really important to step away sometimes. But on the other hand, I have a problem with just trying to meditate. And I love that you said even 1 minute for meditation, to try that. And so I found this site because I had talked to my internal medicine person because I was having problems sleeping at night. And she said, oh, there's a free app on your phone, and it's Andrew Johnson. I don't know if you've heard of this. It's free. It's on your phone. You can do a 1 minute, you can do a 10 minute, you can do a half an hour. And just like Jeff said, the story time, he also does this bedtime story, and he has a Scottish accent, and he does the Wizard of Oz, and it puts me to sleep. I'm to sleep within like 4 minutes of listening to this. But I find that sometimes getting a little extra help with the meditation. I don't know what helpful hints you have, but it's hard to do. I don't know. I'm busy all the time. And it's like you said, it's hard to make time. So I don't know what other helpful hints you have, but.
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. Thank you. First of all, I love a good Scottish accent. So I would be all in on that one. That's great. I love that you use that to help you fall asleep, because that's, as parents, our minds are just constantly going and it's so hard to shut down. So a couple of tools that I have. So one is I actually leave a little journal next to my bed. So if I'm having a hard time falling asleep, or if I wake up in the middle of the night, which is very common for me, I can get and I'll just start racing through everything, whether it be something anxiety inducing, or it'd be like, oh, I don't want to forget to do this. I can turn over and write in that journal, and it gets it again out of my head, and I'm not going to forget about it because I wrote it down. That's been really huge for me. I love that you mentioned the free app. The one that I really like, and I've referred to a lot of my clients to, is called Insight Timer. It's a great one. It's completely free. You can scroll through and you can find a 1 minute app or a 1 minute meditation, 5 minutes. So you can scroll through by time. You can scroll through by like, what do I want to work on right now? Do I need some self-motivation? That's a big one. Sometimes I'm like, I just need to get through this day and I need somebody to help me and really build me up. And so you can find those. So depending on what you need, there's a lot of really great kid ones. Like I said, my daughter's really into finding her meditations to fall asleep at night. So there's lots of good ones. That's when I really like. The other thing that's been super helpful for me is tapping. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of that, but that's a form of meditation. And you have to go through these different points. And I can't remember all of them. It's been a little while since I've tapped, but you have to tap on your body. And that's really been helpful for me because, again, my mind is always racing. Even when I'm meditating, I tend to start thinking about something else and I have to bring myself back. But tapping really keeps me in that moment because I'm doing something physical with my body along with the meditation. And you do have to remember, and it will walk you through. But there's some tapping on the Insight Timer. I know that there's an app, blanking on the name of it, but if you just go to like the app store and you go in tapping, there'll be a good one there. And there's some are paid, some are free, but I would definitely you can even look up YouTube videos for tapping meditations. That one's been really helpful for me, especially when I'm super anxious and I need to get my body moving. That one's been really good for me.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. I hope those are helpful.
Yeah, very helpful.
I'm going to go ahead and read some of the chat. Thanks everyone for typing in the chat. It's great. Amanda at Brain Balance San Diego. Hi, Amanda. Thanks for joining. She says, we encourage the 1 minute as well. They call it the mindful minute, and it's really powerful. This month, they actually have a 30-day mindfulness challenge, and she put the link in the chat as well, which you can download the doc. She also said that she loves Insight Timer and it's free. there's a lot of different themes and ways to search for what you want and need. And she likes that people review each option so you have a better idea of which is better than others.
Yeah. I love that. That's great. 30-day mindful, what was it called? Mindful
Minute.
Mindful minute. I love that. I think that's so fabulous. And it's a great way to have a challenge. Great. I love that you're doing that.
We also have Karen Wright, who does daily prayer, daily scripture reading, and daily exercise. Keeps me smiling, is what she said. And April, one of our moms, she said, for myself, I read, knit, crochet, cook, and bake. I love baking too. That's great. We also have a lot of, I'm somebody who struggles a lot with anxiety as well. So I've tried a lot of different apps. But even, I mean, YouTube is a great resource if you just want to do like a 1-minute meditation. You could just YouTube it, and they usually have some like really calming music. And then I also have used Headspace, and Waking Up is also another app, and they all have free trials and free methods as well. But yeah, those are all, there's lots of them out there.
That's the thing. There's so many different apps, and you just kind of have to mess around and find which ones you like. I've tried a bunch, and I've just kind of landed on Insight Timer, but there's a lot. Like Calm is a really good one, and I think you have to pay for that one. I don't know. There's just so many, so don't be afraid. And YouTube, again, YouTube is a great free resource, and there's lots of good ones. If you find something that you like, follow them, and it's super helpful.
Can you repeat the name of the one you use for your kids? The meditation.
I still use Insight Timer. Yep, I use the same one. You can do yep, you can do a kid search, and it will show you. There's another one, I can't remember. It's all about stories, and I'm totally blanking on the name of it, but it's like a nighttime story. It's like Owl or something like that. I can't remember what it is. But I just use Insight Timer, and I've downloaded it for my daughter, and she can go through and find her favorites. And they're really short. I mean, again, they have like 3-minute ones. I know when my kids trying to start them off on a, they're not going to do a 5-minute one. So see what they're able to do.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Erin. I think it's so great that you incorporated both ideas for parents and also what parents can do with their kids too. I think it's really important that we teach our kids that self-care is important as well for themselves, and parents modeling that for themselves, those kids watch it, and something we can definitely do. Can you share this presentation with me? Would you be open to that so we can include it in our recap email?
Absolutely, be happy to. And then I'm trying to stop sharing my screen. There we go. Finally did it. Yes, absolutely. I will share this with you. And, if you guys ever have any questions, or if you're needing some more support, feel free to message me, and I'm more than happy to. Again, this is such a passion of mine because I've been there. I know what it's like. I remember when my son we were kind of in the thick of it. I was burnt out, and my body was just like, enough, you're not listening. So we're going to force you to take some care of yourself. And I was out for like a good week to 2 weeks with a migraine. I mean, it was just like, I was down for the count. And so I know from experience what it's like, and I don't want any other parents to have to go through that. And it's exhausting. And so my goal is really to educate, to empower parents. And anything I can do to give you the tools and the ability to go out and do these things on your own is really what I'm here for. And as I mentioned earlier, I don't believe we should ever have to walk this journey alone. So, sometimes all we need is just somebody to talk to and be like, I'm struggling with this. Absolutely. I've struggled too. I will constantly be struggling with this. It's never just a smooth line. It's always, this is our growth moment. So absolutely. I'm here to support in any way that I can.
Thank you, Erin. I feel like today was so necessary, and like Arlinda, I see it as a sign for all of us. And just the lunch and learns have been a form of self-care, I can say, for me, because it requires us to really, or requires me to really be present and connect with everyone. And yeah, so thank you so much. This was so wonderful and so valuable, and you're such an angel, and just thank you for everything that you've been doing for the autism community as a whole as well. And as a mom, like we're built up of families like you, and we really appreciate all of your wisdom and your time and all of that.
Well, thank you for all those lovely, kind words. And it's been an honor to share this time with all of you. I just think you're amazing families out there.
I'd love to take a group picture before we go. It's a tradition. Those of you who are on Zoom, if you'd like to be a part of our picture, you can. Yay, hi. Okay, great. Let's do quick picture. Ready? I'll do a countdown. Ready? 1. Oh, April, you're going to be in it. There we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Cheese. Awesome. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care, guys.
Have a great rest of your week. Thanks, Erin.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.